neighbors and family. We want to practice self-care. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Journal. Turn off the news. The news is driving you crazy. Nobody said you have to leave it on in your house or on your radio. Shut it off. If you're on social media and there are people that are bringing you down on social media, unfriend or unfollow them. You don't need drags on your social media. Get rid of them. You need to get your spiritual fill in the best ways that are there for you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit too. And for us adults, for goodness sakes, we need our support groups, because it's like we're not superhumans and we're not going to be able to have this filter to not push these things off onto the young folks around us or our friends who need our support and can't hear the noise. We need to know who it is that we can vent to, who we can let some of this out with, so that we can be healthy, because we all need that. We need that balance. But we need to know who those people are that we can do that with. We need to work on shifting our thinking. We need to think about our thinking, right? I think I've used the mask example a couple of times. So if I think to my son and say to him that it really is ridiculous that you need to wear your mask on the sidelines at soccer games and at soccer practice, that's going nowhere good. I'm going down a hole, right? So when I have that thought, I need to change that to a different thought, right? So I'm so excited that my son gets to play soccer this season, even though he has to wear a mask. It's just so great to be able to see him out on the field, right? There's my change of thinking, right? So there's a number of examples here. If somebody's really worried about, I will get sick, I will self-isolate and wash my hands, and this will significantly decrease my chances of getting sick. There's all these different sayings that come into our mind that are not healthy for us. So we need to come up with positive thinking to replace that with. And whatever that positive thought is, you need to just replace it every single time you have it until it becomes your pattern that is really what you think. We need to be in control of our mind. Those negative thoughts can't be in control of us. So that was a lot, but I think that's a very important one, is to be in control of that noise. There's a lot more things I could have talked about in regards to that, but that just kind of gives you an idea of where to go with that in regards to being in control of the noise. Providing a foundation and checking in on the basics. So number 4 is providing social opportunities. So social opportunities look a little different now than they did before. So we still have our ability to do online social opportunities, right? There's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's Snapchat, there's Instagram, we have our Pinterest, all of those kind of social platforms that we can get on. Even Zoom meetings where you can meet virtually, or if you get on Messenger. I've always done some of those virtual FaceTime and things like that, because my sister lives way out in St. Louis, so if I want to see my nephew more than once a year, then that's what I'm going to do anyhow. So some of that's just kind of normal anyhow. Some other social opportunities is things to do in person, and then also large group events. So if you remember back to that first video I watched, does anybody remember what I told you to remember?
Mirror neurons.
Other than the mirror neurons,
We're all social.
we're all social beings, right? We're all social beings, and we all have a need to belong. So we can't say it's a pandemic, forget all the social opportunities. We'll just throw those to the wayside. That's not going to do anything for our mental health. That's not going to do anything for our worries and our anxiety and our stress. it's going to make it worse. I promise you, it will make it worse. I don't care how you get your social opportunities. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert, you still need your social opportunities because we are wired that way to belong. We want to belong. That's the way our bodies are created. So, let's pull apart some of these and talk about it. So in person, so if there's somebody who's really stressed out about doing in-person socializing, then come with a plan. There's nothing wrong with that. Pandemic's going on. Come with a plan. Some people might be caring for elderly relatives at home, and they have a very good reason to be cautious about who they're around and when. So just have a plan. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you want to hang out with a certain neighbor or a certain friend, or your kids want to have a sleepover to go see a certain friend, then talk to that person ahead of time and plan and say, you know what, if we're going to get together, I just have some questions that I want to ask you if we're going to do this. Are the kids just going to play outside, or are we just going to hang out and picnic outside, or are we going to go into each other's houses? And then you know ahead of time, and then you're expecting that on your end if you're the one who's a little anxious and worried about that, right? If you're going to continue to have this ongoing social relationship with this person, maybe have the conversation. Hey, if you would travel to a hot spot or go on vacation or work somewhere out of town, can we just respect each other to communicate that with each other so that then I can make my decision, even if you're not going to quarantine, that I can make my decision if I want to have contact with you for a certain amount of time. So just plan, communicate, and just let each other know what is going to work for both of you so that these social opportunities can feel safe and secure for you so that you can feel okay about it. And the other one is if anybody has had any symptoms or has been exposed. So, that's another thing you could definitely talk to them about, that you would communicate that information to one another if that's happened on either end. And I know we've had these conversations with our neighbors, and we've had a couple of times where we had to halt playtime with the kids and interaction time between adults because there was somebody who had went to work and there was a questionable exposure situation. Nobody was allowed to play until that person at work got their test back, and then it was like, okay, it was negative, thank goodness, in both situations, and the kids were allowed to play again. But that came through good communication because we were just open and upfront with one another. So plan. There's nothing wrong with coming up with a good plan so that you can feel safe about having those social opportunities. Like I said, we have the opportunity to do things together virtually. We have the opportunity to do things online. And then in person, we can get outdoors. We can spread out. If you're in the woods or you're at a trail, there's lots of room to spread out and socially distance. Some exercise programs, some of them are doing some yoga online, some of them are doing it in exercise classes like in the gym, and some are doing it online, so you can talk to them about what makes sense for you. Again, going back to having a plan, if you're not so sure, I would call up that gym or that yoga studio and I would say, what's your protocols? How are you guys cleaning? What are you doing as your safety measures with COVID? Get that information ahead of time so you can feel safe and secure by experiencing that social opportunity, okay? Don't just say I'm not doing it because I'm not doing it. Do a little bit of research so you can see if it's safe enough for you to be able to do it. And safe enough for me might be different than safe enough for Melody, which might be different than safe enough for Angie, right? Because we're all in different playing fields with this pandemic, and that's okay. So this is an interesting one that I thought about in the sense, and my husband is the social media guru, not me. But as I was putting this together, I was like, wow, our kids' online playground of their Instagram and their Facebook and their Twitter, TikTok, and all of that has collided with their education, because now they're doing education online, and their social playground is online, and now we got all this time on social media, and how do we separate all of this? Because we still want them to be able to have both things, right? They need their education, and we want them to have these social experiences online, but we don't want them sitting on devices for 12 hours a day either. So, having to realistically set some expectations around that. And us as adults needing to be good role models around usage. I know I will be guilty sometimes sitting there. We'll be watching some movie that I'm not entertained by at bedtime routine, and I'll be checking work email, and Knighton will be like, Mom, you just missed a really good part. And I'm like, oh, geez, that's bad. Put my phone down. So he calls me out on it. Small group opportunities, we've kind of talked about most of those. There's lots of churches that are not open, but there's lots of churches that are open, just like ours here at North Apollo. So, and we have lots of groups that are up and running, and children's ministries that are up and running here. So, great place to come and do small group events. Like I said, yoga classes, gyms, and even if you just get a small group of people together and go walk or fish or run or do something that you enjoy in the outdoors. All right, so sending that vibration of calm through our house, our school, our church, and through our counseling sessions. We're checking in on basics, we're providing a foundation, we're being in control of the noise, we're making sure that we're getting that social experience for ourselves. And last, but certainly not least, is self-care. And I love this quote. You can't pour from an empty cup. You must take care of yourself first. So everybody has a little card that you took. And so while I go through, I have lots of self-care ideas on these slides coming up next. I want you to jot down, I have them broken up in categories. I want you to jot down at least 3 things. And it could be something that you already do, and that's fine, that you see on a slide. But I want you to write down 3 things that would be good ideas for you to try, because you might write down one thing and that doesn't work out for some reason. So then you'll have another one to try out. Or maybe you want to do a mixture. Maybe one week do one thing, another week do another thing. Or maybe you just want to try a couple of different things. Or maybe you see some things that you're like, I never even thought about that as self-care. So it might be a good thing just to write down. So because the point of self-care is like, we're never going to be this vibration of calm. We're never going to have less stress. We're never going to have less anxiety unless we take care of ourselves. We're never going to be able to be the best parent that we can be. We're never going to be the best neighbor. We're never going to be the best self. So we have to. So jot down some ideas for yourself. So when you walk out of here, you're going to think about taking care of yourself after you leave. Okay? So, first section is physical self-care. So, eating regularly, I know that's not a problem for me, but I know there are some people that I know in my life that have trouble eating 3 meals a day because they just get so busy and caught up in things that they just don't even realize that time has passed. So we want to make sure that we are eating regularly. We're eating healthy. Like I said earlier, my son can't just sit and eat a bag of Doritos for lunch. I wanted him to eat a good lunch. Exercise is a great thing. Taking care of some regular medical preventative, if anybody's sitting here, I admit, I just went to the dentist last week from an appointment that was canceled during COVID. And I kept telling myself, I gotta reschedule that, and finally I did. time off work, or this could mean if you're sick and you still just do at home and you just don't give your body time to rest, that's important as well. Dance, swim, walk, run, play sports, sing, any kind of physical activity just to get your body moving. Something that you enjoy. Don't write down dance if you don't like to dance. Think about something that you enjoy, something active that you enjoy. Take time to be sexual, with your spouse. Great way for physical self-care.
Amen.
So, get enough sleep. I think we've talked a lot about sleep today, so I can't say anything more about that, but if you're not getting sleep, that's a great one to write down. Psychological self-care. Taking some day trips or mini vacations. I think this weekend the leaves just started changing colors, and I just thought to myself, this could be great for some people that have really been cooped up in the house. What a great, if you are quarantining, just get in your car and just go for a nice sunny drive one day and looking at the leaves. That would be a great thing for anybody to do, but especially if somebody who's just kind of quarantined right now, that would be a great get out and enjoy the nature. But anyways, day trips, mini vacations. Take time to self-reflect. Listen to your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, your feelings. Read something that doesn't have to do with work. That's another one I'm guilty for. I'm reading a book right now for fun, but I'm horrible at that. I'm always picking up something that has to do with work. So yes, and I'm enjoying it. I'm just reading a fun book. So it's a good one. Do something that you're not an expert in or in charge of. Just go and have fun. Say no to extra responsibilities sometimes. Sometimes we just can't fit one more thing in our schedule and we have to say, no, I can't do it. Give yourself some affirmation and some praise. First of all, for all of you who came here tonight, I think you should just praise yourselves for making the time